Midweek greetings and welcome to this evening's edition of Primetime News. I'm Michael Madimba. If it's your first time joining us, please subscribe, hit the like button and be sure to click the bell icon to stay posted on the latest happenings. In tonight's lead, we begin with mental health related matters. The obsolete Mental Health Act of 1973 is set to be replaced by the Mental Health Bill, which is expected to be tabled in Parliament early next year. Maria Kanjungu filed this report.
Senior Mental Health Program Officer in the Ministry of Health and Social Services, Magdalena Didalelwa, told the Namibia Press Agency in a recent interview the bill has been presented to the Cabinet Committee on Legislation for further scrutiny. She said it is aimed at, amongst others, providing guidance on mental health issues and will serve to protect the human rights of patients, their families, and their properties. The bill will also assist Namibia in addressing challenges currently being experienced, such as the lack of infrastructure and facilities to serve people with mental health conditions, shortage of skilled persons, lack of funding and investment in mental health. Namibia has one fully fledged public mental health facility at the Windhoek Central Hospital, one ward at the Oshakati Hospital, and one private facility in Windhoek, Bel Esprit. The country also lacks psychiatrists and qualified psychologists.
Moving on to environmental matters. In a welcome boost for human-wildlife conflict management, the Namibian government, through the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, has received 92 million Namibian dollars for combating this perennial challenge from the United Nations Development Programme UNDP. Linia Dishena compiled this report.
Speaking at the signing ceremony here on Tuesday, UNDP country representative Al Kabatia said the money facilitated through the Global Environmental Facility is geared towards a 5-year integrated approach project to proactively manage human-wildlife conflict and wildlife crime. Batia noted the UNDP's partnership with Namibia is a timely intervention to address environmental challenges and threats to the planet and people. She said the viability of the entire conservation effort in Namibia has been challenged by the impacts of the global COVID-19 pandemic since March 2020, and mitigation measures have brought the ecotourism sector to a standstill, affecting the ability of wildlife management to effectively address both human-wildlife conflict and wildlife crime.
The third edition of the annual Ombathu and Iraka Festival under the auspices of Veneruru Mithi is set to take place on Saturday at the Okakarara Trade Fair Center under the theme Cultural Awareness, Raising and the Youth. Uakutura Kambaekwa filed this insert.
The festival dates back 3 years, with its first edition held at Okodondodu village in the Okakarara constituency under the patronage of late Namibian Broadcasting Corporation Ochiherero Radio Service Manager Alex Yaribovandu Kaputu. Confirming the event to the Namibia Press Agency on Wednesday, festival pioneer Charles Veneruru Miede stated that the event is of great significance and contributes immensely to culture building as people have begun to appreciate their cultures. He said the event has since its inception attracted a massive crowd where the rich and colorful cultural heritage of the Ovaherere people is exhibited as an extravaganza of performances, including onderera, traditional dances and educational speeches on the importance and advancement of the Herero language. According to Miede, the event was created following the success of the Olufuko Festival, which has now become a household name event on the national calendar. Miede further reiterated that the event is an important example of community cohesion at the grassroots, stating that it also pledges to foster and build bridges and understanding in the community while respecting and abiding by cultural activities laws, especially amongst the youth. Selima Shimwe-Feleni reporting for Nampa News.
Moving on to continental affairs. A ruling by the United Nations top court on the maritime border dispute between Kenya and Somalia is drawn opposing reactions from the two neighboring countries in East Africa. Shimwa brings us more on this report.
The International Court of Justice ruled on Tuesday that there was no agreed maritime boundary and ruled largely in favor of Somalia, which will get a big chunk of the 100,000 square kilometer area that is potentially gas and oil rich. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has rejected the ruling, saying Nairobi is profoundly concerned by the import of the decision and its implications for the Horn of Africa region and international law generally. The Kenyan head of state said in a statement released on Tuesday evening that from the onset, Kenya wishes to indicate that it rejects in totality and does not recognize the findings in the decision. He insisted the International Court of Justice had no jurisdiction to hear the case but went ahead despite the objections that had earlier been raised by Kenya. According to Kenyatta, international tribunals have jurisdiction only to the extent of consent by a state. However, in a televised address to the nation on Tuesday evening, Farmajo said the ruling was a historic victory for all Somalis and exemplifies the integrity and transparency of the International Court of Justice. He said the federal government of Somalia hereby confirms that they accept the court's decision in line with the international laws and norms. Farmajo added that they hope that the Kenyan government will respect the supremacy of international law and will forego their misguided and unlawful pursuits.
Stand by for your top roundup. In the business and economic segment tonight, we begin with labor-related matters. NAMPOST employees through their union, the Namibia Public Workers Union, NAPU, on Tuesday demonstrated against unfair labor practices ranging from the recruitment of unqualified managers, discrimination and the company's refusal to increase their salaries. Erasmus Shalihakwe compiled the story for us.
The employees during the demonstration in Windhoek handed over the petition to the company's board chairperson, Simeon Mukwete, containing various demands that should be dealt with within 7 days.
The grievance of the peaceful demonstrations accompanied by the following notes: salary increment dispute. NAPU demand an inflationary plus increment which is 5.1%. NAMPOS offering only 1.5%. Down! NAMPOS down! Poor corporate governance. The company has failed to address the following employees' issue. Among these are unfair recruitment. NAMPOS is recruiting regional managers without the required qualification. Instead of a B degree, a regional manager recruited with grade 10.
Yeah. The board chairperson of NAMPOS, while receiving the petition, told the employees that he will share the grievances with his fellow board members and the company's management for discussion.
In business news beyond our borders, the British Office for National Statistics on Tuesday said the estimated number of job vacancies in Britain hit the highest level in the third quarter of this year since records began in 2001. Xinhua brings us more.
The British Office of National Statistics said between July and September, the number of job vacancies reached a record high of 1.1 million, an increase of 318,000 from its pre-pandemic level between January and March 2020. It further said July to September 2021 saw continued growth across the majority of the sectors, with 12 of the 18 categories displaying a record number of vacancies. The largest quarterly increase was seen in the wholesale and retail trade. Meanwhile, British labour market has witnessed a continuing recovery from June to August, with unemployment rate standing at 4.5%, 0.5 percentage points higher than before the pandemic from December 2019 to February 2020, but 4.0 percentage points lower than the previous quarter. In addition, the number of payroll employees showed another monthly rise, up 207,000 to a record 29.2 million in September 2021, returning to pre-pandemic level in February 2020, the data revealed.
That's all from me, Michael Madimba. Your sports news will follow after the economics roundup and the weather forecast.
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sport on Sport Planet with me, Joy Gosses. Leading the sports news tonight, the new Futsal Namibia season will kick off its league activities at the Windhoek Showgrounds in the capital on Friday. Hasran Kapanga, our sports journalist, compiled this report.
We are looking, as Absai mentioned, for a tournament or one weekend tournament to spark some interest at the coast during December and also in the same time to run one in the north. We are looking at different locations in the north just to do one again, just to spark interest and see how we can take this nationwide. We are taking small steps towards a nationwide tournament. We've had large inquiries from teams, and in fact we might even have a team from Soccerman traveling every weekend to come play because they've realized that we're serious about what we do and about bringing futsal forward in the country. For this league, we are proudly partnered up with Express Credit, which have come on board as a main sponsor.
On to international football. Racism continues to blight the beautiful game globally, and in this context, FIFA has condemned the disturbance, which marred England's World Cup qualifier against Hungary on Tuesday, and the violent scenes at the Albania vs Poland match in the same group. DBA brings us more.
Hungary fans clashed with police at Wembley after officers entered the stand to arrest an individual for a racially aggravated public order offence in relation to comments directed at a steward. The Metropolitan Police described what happened as minor disorder. The Albania vs Poland match in Tirana was briefly suspended. Bottles were thrown onto the pitch after Karol Swiderski scored for Poland in the 77th minute. Football's world governing body said in a statement, FIFA is currently analyzing reports of last night's FIFA World Cup qualifier matches in order to determine the most appropriate action. FIFA strongly condemns the incidents at England vs Hungary and Albania vs Poland and would like to state that its position remains firm and resolute in rejecting any form of violence as well as any form of discrimination or abuse. FIFA has a very clear zero-tolerance stance against such abhorrent behavior in football. Hungary were ordered to play 2 matches behind closed doors, one suspended for 2 years, over the racist behavior of their fans during the qualifier against England in Budapest last month. Raheem Sterling and Jude Bellingham were targeted with monkey chants during the match on September 2, which England won 4-0. In July, European football's governing body UEFA imposed a 2-match stadium ban on the Hungarian Federation following an investigation into the behavior of their supporters during Euro 2020 matches in Budapest and Munich.
Your sports roundup is up next. We have come to the end of tonight's bulletin. Much appreciated for tuning in. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share, and click on the notifications bell to stay abreast with the latest happenings locally and globally. Do add your comments as well in the comment section. Catch us tomorrow for another edition of Primetime News. From myself, Joy Gorses, and the entire production crew, it's good night.